live. All right. I said this before, but I'm just going to say it one more time to you. Again, there is $80,000 in Blackhawk Technical College scholarship money available. If you're interested in applying, you have to apply by October 1st. I put all the handouts, I put the thing from here, from the process. Yeah, of course it couldn't be clear. That's nice. But I put all that stuff out there. All right, so you can go ahead and you can take a look at it. All right. So that one I printed and this letter are both out there, right, almost smack dab in the middle of the bulletin board down near the bottom. All right. Well, and apply. Worst thing that happens. I had a graduate who came in and was talking to me last week, and he said, I'm going to apply. I'm thinking of applying for this job. There's no way I'll ever get it. I said, why not apply? See if you get interviewed. All right, and then when you get interviewed, then see if you can sell yourself on it and why they should hire you. I said, you never know. All right, the last thing then, as I mentioned to you, is I want to go over this and make sure we're all on the same wavelength or whatever you want to say regarding this. Because you're going to have a half an hour today and the next 2 periods of lab for this. So again, now this was my thought process. Things hit me when I'm standing at the urinal sometimes, and one did today, and that was the next thing we're going to cover is chapters 12 and 13, which is on GUI. If you want, we can still keep using this program and GUIize it. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, then there is something to be said for doing that. All right, I'm still going to show you some GUI, the easy GUI and the hard GUI way of doing things in a few weeks, or a couple weeks, but we can do that. I'm not sure if we can turn this into an applet, but that's the last program you're going to do. The last program, the applet one, is probably the one people have the most fun with anyway. All right. So for the Chapter 11 program, make the following modifications to the appropriate classes that you're creating. And I've heard a bunch of you talking, on your own, etc. When there's been lab time, there's an employee class, a production worker class, a shift supervisor class, and a team leader class. So right now for the employee class, the only thing that we are doing, you are required to do that, to make sure the number is in an XXX-L format, when X, I believe, what is it, XXX are numbers, and L is a letter from A to M or something like that. Why he did that, I don't know, but he did, and that's fine. But right now, if you don't put a name in there, all right, the program still works. There's just no name. And for the hire date, depending on how you set it up, it may or may not blow up. But I want you to sit there and create a thing here where the name can't be blank. All right. So you might have to create quite a few of your own exception classes. But doing that, most of them will only have 10 lines in them. All right, the same ones that we just looked at before with the bank account thing. Yes. I don't care. All right, as long as it saves everything where I can go and dig it out if I have to, and I can get your .java file. That's fine. All right. The hire date, if you decide that you want to do it this way, if you want to use the Java date class, you can. As I mentioned, there's some work to using it. There's tons of resources out there. But in the past, I've required people to use the date, and they just hated it. So I said, well, if nothing else, ask them to read in the month, ask them to read in the day, and ask them to read in the year. Okay? Now, if I say something is an int, okay, and I put in 01, the system will take that. And it'll just basically drop to 0. So really the range in here is 1 through 12 for month. That should make sense. All right. And the day, you can set this up. You could have a month array. You could have a day array. Before you say, yeah, but there's leap years. Yeah, we went through something in one of the other classes that even showed you the code, I think it was in the C class, for doing this. All right. And if you say, I'm not in that class, let me know, and I'll get you that page. I'll run you off a copy of it. I don't care. Or I'll run off a copy and put it on the system. And years. We're assuming that I was going to say country? No. That the company was founded in 1950. So they've been hiring people between 1950 and now. So in other words, if I put 1949 in there, the program should flag that as being an error. There was no company that existed then. If it's past 2015, or 2014, I should say, I'm hiring you in the future? type of thing. Does that all make sense? All right. So that's everything for the employee class. So any questions on anything I'm asking for right there? All right. The production worker class. Numeric only. All right. 1 for day, 2 for night. Now you really could write that literally, you could write that probably as just 1 exception class. All right, because it's, you know, if it's not a 1 or 2, it could still be a number, all right? But if it's non-numeric, it's not a 1 or a 2. See what I'm saying? So you decide how you want to handle that. And if you say, well, what do you think? No, I think you should decide. Did any of you go through this? I realize we're a more male-oriented class, and I'm not trying to say anything that sounds sexist. My wife will never, ever tell me where she wants to eat a meal if we go out. Ever. Ever. Wherever you want. And then I'll pick a place and we'll go there. She says, I really wish we wouldn't have gone here. God. Okay. So it should be a 1 or a 2, 1 for day, 2 for night. The hourly rate, if you don't like these, I gave you a range. You can change the range. You should create those. Remember, if you do static final, you're creating a constant. Those should be constants, like min hourly pay, max hourly pay, something where it's at least somewhat indicative of what you're trying to do with it. If you think 250 is too big, you want it to be 25, then make it 25. I don't care. All right. Anything on the production worker class that people don't understand? The shift supervisor, rather, that should be pretty, you know, pretty self-evident because we've already gone through other examples. So the salary, numeric only, be in this range. The bonus, numeric only, this range. And if you say, well, how come the bonus is 10,000 and the salary is only 3,000? I figured you'd probably only get the bonus once a year. All right. Or twice a year. It depends on a company. I don't think most companies at least don't give bonuses every month. I know you were all talking about CIOs and CEOs. Maybe they get it. I don't know. But most workers don't get things like that. And then, so any questions on the shift supervisor class? All right, then the team leader. Monthly bonus, same kind of thing. Now when you look at this, numeric only within a range. Numeric only within a range. All right, numeric only within a range. You should be able to write 1 class for that. You should. Remember how we talked about this? You could write your own message first and then append that thing onto the end. That's what I do. So anything in here that says numeric only and it has a range in it, that's what I do. And when you think about it, isn't this numeric only with a range? I think it is. So you can make this easy on yourself. I mean, the worst case, you would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different exception classes. They'd all be pretty small, but there'd be a lot of duplicative effort among those. If you want to do that, you can. I won't give you extra credit for doing it. I won't take off for doing it. All right. And the team leader, monthly bonus, again, numeric only within a range. Training hours, numeric only within a range. Training hours attended, numeric only within a range. Any questions on that one? So it'll be lab for the rest of the period today. I've already had one person say they have to leave, and that's fine. You know, if you want to go get lunch or whatever, if you didn't have it or whatever, I don't care. At 3, those of you who are in that class, I'm going to be going over arrays in PHP. All right? We're going to do that probably for an hour today. I don't know if we're even going to do anything else. All right? Show you, I've updated that program we've been working on, and I'll show that to you when we get to that point. All right? So next week will be lab the entire week, and then again, just so you hear this, the plan is 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from last Tuesday, whatever. 2 weeks from now is what? The 18th. So the 16th and the 18th. What I plan on doing is on the 16th, going over an example. I haven't written it yet, but going over an example and having it where if you want to follow along with me, you can. You may not want to follow along with this one because you might want to watch, because this is literally where we will be writing code to create controls. Not dragging them out, writing code to do that. We'll do that on Tuesday. That's chapter 12 in your book. Chapter 13 says, well, let's kind of do it GUI and do it the right way. So we'll do the same program both ways. so you can see the difference between them. So that's what we'll do on that Tuesday and Thursday. Then on the next Tuesday and Thursday, we'll go over chapter 12 in the book and chapter 13 in the book. Then the next week will be lab again. Does that make sense? For a week. Then when we get done with that, we'll have chapter 14. That's the last chapter I'm going through in this book. So it should be around the 9-week point, we should be done with the book. You say, well, there's this in the book, there's this. No, I'm not going over that stuff, whatever this is. Not going over the database stuff. I'm not going over the recursion stuff. We've covered just about everything else. All right. And then after that, we're going to start on the Android stuff. Okay, so that's the plan. All right, that's all I've got.